You don't need more willpower. I wish the word willpower did not exist. I mean, I think I lived most of my life with like willpower and you just drive through and you just push through. You don't need to try harder. You don't need to be disciplined. You don't need more self-control, right? Like it really has nothing to do with how strong you are. Because what we just talked about, like this is like totally about brain chemistry and how your brain is wired in this moment right now, not how it's going to be in a week, 2 weeks, or 5 years. Like you can absolutely change it, right? Because this is about, yep, it's about like I said, brain chemistry. It's about blood sugar instability, like we talked about. It's about habit loops. It's about emotional coping patterns. You're not weak. I can't even say it enough. Like you are not weak. You just don't have the tools that you need or the support that you need now, but you can get it and you can absolutely change your life in not that much time.
Welcome back to PCOS Unfiltered. Every once in a while, I love bringing back conversations that continue to resonate with listeners, and today's replay is definitely one worth revisiting. If you've ever found yourself reaching for sweets after a stressful day, eating when you're not actually hungry, or feeling frustrated that your cravings seem stronger than your willpower, this episode is for you. In this replay, I'm joined by board-certified holistic health coach and dear friend, Kerri Pagliarini, also known as the Sugar Knockout Coach. And together we explore the real reasons behind emotional eating and sugar cravings. And spoiler alert, it has very little to do with self-control. We talk about the connection between stress, hormones, gut health, emotions, and habits, along with practical ways to pause, recognize your triggers, and build a healthier relationship with food. Most importantly, we discuss how replacing guilt with curiosity can completely change the way you approach your health journey. As always, this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or treatment plan. Now, whether this is your first time hearing this conversation or you're listening again with fresh ears, I hope it reminds you that your body isn't working against you. It's trying to tell you something. So let's jump in and enjoy this replay episode with Kerri Pagliarini.
Hello, hello. Welcome. I am super, super excited to have Kerri here today. She's a fellow health coach and very dear friend of mine. So let's just kind of jump right in. And Kerri, I want to hear you tell everybody more about what you do and what's just kind of led you on your own health journey and brought you to this point in health coaching.
Awesome. First of all, thank you so much for having me. Lindsie knows me well, so she's heard this spiel a bunch of times. But basically, my health was like, I was just kind of falling apart, like in my early 20s, like falling apart, right? So I had migraines, I had gas and bloating, right? All the embarrassing stuff. I had hormonal issues, which ended up with, I had ovarian cysts, which I was told, a lot of things I was told I was just the kind of person that this happens to. And until I ended up in the hospital needing surgery. And that's when I was like, no, there's something's happening here. And I started researching, I started working with a health coach, changed my diet, changed my lifestyle. So the things that they tell you that are just happening to you, no. You have so much more control, which I think is amazing. You have so much more control than you realize if you just worry about what you're putting in your body, on your body, worrying about stress, like I said, all the diet, lifestyle, all the things. And it's truly amazing that you can really take care of yourself and not just let things happen to you. Because I felt like things were happening to me. And that sucks. I'm not the kind of person that just wanted to deal with that. So yeah, that's a little bit about that. I was like, if a health coach can help me, I want to go help people. So I went and did that.
Good. Yeah. And now she calls herself the Sugar Knockout Coach. But it's true. I mean, I feel like there's been like, just even in my talks with people, and I think you'll see even more throughout the podcast episodes, there's just this like underlying theme of empowerment and just being able to take control and being able to advocate for yourself. That's huge because yes, like I feel like I don't want to bash traditional medicine all the time because it is needed, but you have to understand that they don't know everything. And so just because they tell you something, especially like they don't know everything, I feel like when it comes to nutrition and exercise and that type of thing, they're just not taught like that. Then you have to be the one to go out and discover some of that on your own and find what works for you and know what other resources are out there. And so That's where Kerri plays a huge role for sure.
I'm so glad that you said that too. Just like if I could say one thing, because then like right there is a time and a place for traditional medicine, but you can have more of an actual intelligent conversation with your doctor when you know what's going on with your body and what works for you and what doesn't. So then it really becomes the partnership I think it should be if you can find a doctor that's listening to you. If one isn't, then that
Yes.
partnership's over.
Yeah, they definitely have to be open to it for sure. And if they're not, then maybe that one's not right for you. So, yeah, definitely. So, let's just kind of, keep going here. So, have you ever found yourself knee deep in sweets after a stressful day? And what was that like? I know I have in the past. I'm sure a lot of people listening
Yeah.
are probably right there with you. So,
Yeah, this is such a great question. One, because I am the sugar knockout coach. Like hey everyone, I still go through all this too. Like I'm not perfect. I think what happens a lot is it becomes like a mindless thing, right? Like all of a sudden I'm in my kitchen. I'm eating like, the chocolate chips or like cookies or potato chips. And I'm just kind of like shoveling them in and like no mindfulness at all, right? And then the crash happens. And then there's the emotional crash. So tell me if you can relate to this, Lindsie and anyone listening, right? Then I feel shame. Then I feel guilt, right? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no control. What is wrong with me? I should be better. I know I shouldn't eat that. Like we all know sugar is not good for us. I know I shouldn't be eating that. And I think that's the real damage. So we start beating ourselves up. And then because I don't have a coping mechanism to deal with my emotions, or I've been using sugar as the coping mechanism, I go right back into eating sugar and then feeling shame and guilt and beating myself up and eating more sugar.
and then it just becomes a vicious cycle.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's such a huge emotional component to it. It's very
I
interesting.
remember as a nurse, like, oh my gosh. I mean, and I was single and I'd be like after 12, sometimes 14-hour day, I'd come home and I would eat like maybe a decent dinner, but then immediately I'd go to Oreos. That was my big thing.
Oh,
And then and then you feel like junk after, and I still kept doing it every single time, but it was just kinda like the habit of like, "Okay, I had dinner and now I can have this treat," and then I'd try to limit myself to 4 or something, and then you end up eating 4 more. Yeah, and they're done.
It's interesting because we just had someone who graduated my program who hadn't eaten Oreos and she loved Oreos. And I'm like, wait till you taste an Oreo now. After your taste buds have changed, after you know what you know, and she's like, it's pure chemicals. I'm like, oh yeah, I loved Oreos too. There's no sugar I don't love that I haven't loved in the past.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a great segue into the next question is what was your relationship with sugar like growing up, even at a younger age, and how do you feel that impacted you later on?
Oh yeah, that's such a great question because I feel like especially like with my generation, everybody ate sugar. Like it was just a thing. Everybody ate a bunch of sugar. Like my parents had zero problem. And actually, my mom, still to this day, my mom loves junk food. She loves candy. So we had a ton of it around and I ate a lot of it. And then as a teenager, got a job and bought all the things with my money, right? I bought candy and chips and fast food. Gummy candy was my absolute weakness. I've eaten so much gummy candy, like enough to last 10 lifetimes, right? But when you're young, your body can process that a little bit quicker. Now, I had migraines in elementary school, so my body wasn't doing so hot. Like I was getting signs then, and they were few and far between. But in my late 20s, like early 30s, is when it really caught up with me and I really started noticing the signs. But when you think about it really was starting in my late teens, early 20s, right? So, and I was listening to something the other day. They're like, heart disease doesn't start in your 50s, started in like your 40s and 30s. And so my body was giving me all these signs, right? I was having the migraines, I was having all the things, but until it like was more severe and more frequent is when I actually noticed, when my body was like, okay, like we have to stop here. So there's a lot of signs, I think, along the way that we all just avoid because we think it's normal or we're the kind of person that gets migraines.
Yep, exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I was actually just having this conversation with somebody yesterday. Stay tuned for that podcast as well. But yeah, these things that we do to our bodies that we don't listen to, first of all, we're just not listening until we have to listen because something is really going on. But you also just don't realize that what you're doing now, and we all think we're invincible when we're at that age.
Oh, yeah.
Plus,
Oh, yeah.
yes, I feel like the trend has also been us waking up. I mean, in general, more people
Yeah.
waking up to what's actually in our food now, because it definitely wasn't like that before. And yeah, you learn later on like that all the stuff you did 10 plus years ago is now affecting you for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, you do feel
Yes.
invincible in your teens. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yep. So how would you define emotional eating versus the sugar addiction, and how are they different? How are they connected?
Interesting. So, can I say they're different yet connected?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when I think of sugar addiction, I think of more like physical stuff. So, gut imbalance, right? If your gut bacteria is off, the bad bacteria, if you have too much, it's going to crave sugar. Studies have shown that. So, you're just feeding that and it gets worse. So, that's like physical. Or a nutrient deficiency, like you're going to crave sugar when you need some other things. So, but when your gut's out of whack, which I find really interesting, is that so like 80% of our serotonin is made in the gut, our happy hormone. So we have these like physical needs. Our gut's out of whack. We have a nutrient deficiency. Now we're not making the serotonin that we need, and so we're seeking pleasure, and we start using sugar for pleasure. And that's when I think it starts turning into emotional eating, because we're not happy the way that we should be. And so, yeah, we get these like little hits of dopamine from sugar. And so we feel really good, and our brains are like so amazing. They're like, okay, so like, where are we going to get this next hit? Where's this coming from? Right. And so then I think the opposite is true of like, someone, then it can go the other way. Like people have just started using sugar to manage emotions, and then the cascade effect of gut issues, hormone issues, nutrient deficiency. And so you can be like, they're like a yin and yang is how I picture it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. We're overfed and undernourished, right? Because
Oh yeah.
because we keep getting that hit, from all these nutrient lacking foods, where if we can just increase and improve the nutrients, that we're putting into our bodies, that will help balance some of that stuff out without even thinking about removing some of that stuff
Mhm.
first, because then your body's like, oh, I feel good from this now.
Yeah.
And so they're going to want, your body's going to want more of that instead of the nutrient lacking foods.
Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely. And I love that you said you don't like when people see me coming, they're like, oh my God, like I go to networking, it's like, oh, I don't usually eat like this. And I'm like, people think I'm sitting there like
Yeah.
judging what they're eating. It's really funny. And also
I'm
like,
right
I'm
there
like,
with you.
just add more nutrients to that plate. It's not
Yeah.
really about removing.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
That's so funny.
What are some subtle signs that someone might be emotionally eating without realizing it?
So I would say two. So the two big ones to me, and what I see the most, is late night snacking ready without being hungry. Like you just feel like you need it, like you were talking about the Oreos. And so really it's a habit. I think because I work with a lot of moms and a lot of like busy women, I think it's the only time like that they get to actually sit and relax. And so they associate whatever they're eating with relaxation, right? So it's like late night snacking that's become a habit because they're getting that little hit, right? Where they're like finally doing
Yeah.
something for themselves. And the next, I think, is a craving for one specific thing. So it's not the lasagna your mom only makes once at Christmas. Okay, I will eat lasagna one time a year because she makes it and it's amazing. So it's like, I need potato chips right now. I need salt and vinegar potato chips, and I will get in my car and drive for that. That's emotional eating.
Mhm.
I don't need potato chips. There's no nutritional value in them. And I mean, salt and vinegar potato chips, I have eaten those until my tongue has peeled, like back in the day.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, that should be a real, like, if you're eating
Oh
until
my
that, yeah.
god. Your tongue is numb and yeah.
Yeah, what's happening here? Yeah, that. So, yeah, I've eaten gigantic bags of that. So if it's something really
Mhm.
specific, like that's emotional. It's not
Yeah.
like, hey, I need some protein or I'm craving this. It's like, I need that right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a good point too, because I feel like for some people, it might be more of the sweet stuff. And then for
yeah,
others, yes, it might be more of the salty. But some people might associate more the emotional eating with like sweets, where it
yeah,
could be, it could even be the salty things as well. So that's a
yeah,
good point.
absolutely. Absolutely.
What kind of piggybacking off of that too, what are some other things? I know I have some things I usually recommend. What are some other things like coping wise that could help kind of break that cycle that you would recommend for them to do instead of going to the sweets, or the salty snacks or whatever it is? Are there any other things to recommend?
Yeah, my favorite one is really pausing, right? And just taking a breath and I don't care, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and like really just tuning into your body. Like, what am I feeling right now? Like, like for me, it's anxiety. Like, that was the thing. Like, I'm super anxious and I use food to manage my emotions again, because it gives you that dopamine hit. And I'm like, so one, what do I really need? Like, what's the feeling? And then two, what do I really need? Like, if it's anxiety, is it something I can deal with in that moment, right? Is it having some tea? Is it taking 5 minutes away from my computer? Is it going to meditate for 5 minutes? Is it getting in my car and going for a drive because the people I live with are driving me crazy, right? Like, what do you need in that moment? Because sometimes it's a hug. Sometimes it's a call with a friend.
Yeah.
Like, it's connection. It's not salt and vinegar potato chips, even though
Yeah.
I think it is.
We think it is. And why do you think, I mean, we already kind of touched on this a little bit, but I feel like sugar is a lot the go-to a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is, that
I
it's
think
sugar
it's
that,
because, yeah, I think it's the dopamine hit. I think it lights up pleasure centers in the brain. And Lindsie and I have had this conversation. People have told me you cannot be addicted to sugar. Studies have shown that you can be because it lights up the same pleasure centers in the brain as other addictive substances. Of course, with sugar, it's very temporary, right? It's a little temporary hit. And so your subconscious, like, it makes you feel safe, right? It starts to feel like it feels good. It starts to feel safe and it gets comfortable. And so the subconscious is always going to be like, oh, let's do that. Like, I have a feeling I don't like, what makes me feel better. And it could be Oreos. It could be salt and vinegar potato chips that break down into sugar. But like for me, it was gummy candy. Like, that was my thing. Like, ooh. So we get this feeling. We feel really good. We get this temporary hit. And then we create a habit loop, right? I'm sad. I eat gummy candy. I feel better temporarily. And then when that goes away, I need more candy.
yeah. Yeah. And I know you and I have both had clients that have experienced it, but when you remove those sugars, they get the same symptoms, the same withdrawal symptoms as somebody would from drugs and alcohol. So I think that right there says a lot about how addictive sugar, can be, for sure.
Yeah. And and I'm like, how are you going to tell me that you can't be addicted to sugar when I'm always like, I'm a recovering sugar addict? Like, that makes me happy. And like I said, I mean, my mom is still doing it. Like, you can still do it your entire life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how does sugar, I mean, we kind of talked on some of this because some of these questions are kind of, overlapping, but
Yeah.
how does sugar affect mood? We've talked about, but also hormones and energy levels. I think that's huge to
Yeah.
speak to. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know we talked a little bit about mood when we were talking about like not making enough serotonin when we're eating too much sugar, messing with our gut, or getting that little dopamine hit. And then like we have a little crash and that sucks. But that's exactly what happens with energy. It's just happening with our blood sugar instead. And so when we're eating copious amounts of sugar, no judgment because I've done it, our blood sugar spikes. And I know you've talked a lot about this with your insulin resistance. And so insulin comes in just as quickly and brings it into our cells, but then our blood sugar drops. And usually when our blood sugar is pretty low, our body send out signal like our blood sugar is really low. We don't like this. We need to go get something that has a lot of sugar to bring like our energy and everything back up. And so we get on this roller coaster because it's like, eat sugar, blood sugar rises, then it drops, eat sugar. And so like all day long, and you have these energy dips and you're exhausted. Or like how many people go to sleep and then you're still waking up exhausted. And this was me forever. You're still
Me too.
exhausted. And
Yeah.
so then you need all this caffeine. And then like at 3:00, I needed more caffeine. And then I was doing
Or a nap.
yeah. Or energy drinks. And so it starts like this, like what's happening with your mood and energy, it's like so interconnected. And yeah, and like I said a little bit about with the estrogen, it just throws off everything like estrogen levels, cortisone levels, like my cortisol levels, my hormones were an absolute disaster when I was eating all of that sugar. But when you cut it out and you start feeling your body, like we talked about, things start to come back into balance. I met somebody the other day, I was like, and she's like 20 years behind me in her journey with ovarian cysts. And I was like, if I could tell you one thing, sugar. like cut the sugar. So
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Because even when you cut, like for me, it was gluten, but still, it's pretty much a sugar, or gluten is attached to these things that contain sugars too. So even just by removing all of that, you're basically removing sugar. There's just this overlying thing, and there's more
yeah,
sugar in so many more things, I think, than
yeah.
there was, even back then.
Yeah. Back then. Yeah, I
I
know,
know.
right? Well, what's so funny too is people
But
are like, "Oh, I don't have a sugar problem, but I do drink a couple glasses of wine at night."
yeah.
Like, that's my vice. And I'm like, "Oh, but that's still sugar."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So can emotional eating ever be a healthy coping mechanism, or is it something to just fix? I like this question. This is
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
this is a good one, right?
Yeah.
Because let's be real. Like, so everyone thinks of emotional eating, oh, it's so bad. But we're human and food is emotional, right? Like it's tied to so many things like celebration, culture, memories. Like I have so many great childhood memories of holidays. Like it's all kind of mixed in together. And so yes, comfort sometimes, right? Which and that in itself, I don't think is bad. I think the problem becomes when it's our only coping tool, right? So food is how I deal with stress, how I deal with sadness, how I deal with boredom, how I deal with overwhelm. So then that's not helping. That's not, it's just numbing out. And that's why I talk to my ladies about being curious, right? Like not really judgmental. So again, like what's happening here? Like what do I need right now? And then, so it's not always something to fix, but I think if you understand like why you're eating certain things. So we talk a lot about tuning in our programs, and I know we have a lot of similar things with that. Like understanding why you're doing the things you're doing around food, and then you can see because I mean, life is really short without a piece of chocolate cake. But if I'm using it to manage all my emotions, I mean, I could eat that chocolate cake in a day if I'm having a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like I know for me, like I had to really kind of think about this. I mean, it didn't take me long, but like just to make that connection, and it was the connection to my mom because we used to bake together all the time.
Yeah.
And so I was just get like if I didn't cook dinner, I still always was like baking something, whether it was from
Yeah.
a box or whatever. Now I do have like healthier options.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you have to do some self-reflecting and is there
Yeah.
some type of tie there that's connecting you to something or someone, something
Mhm.
deeper kind of pulling you into that. And there's nothing wrong with that because then like you said, yeah, whether it's a holiday or a celebration of some sort that you're tied to a certain food, that's great. But when it becomes an everyday occurrence,
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you brought up like the deeper stuff. So I have someone who's just graduating one of my programs also, and she was obsessed with Diet Coke. And so we dug a little bit deeper, and it was that growing up, they didn't have a lot of money, and when they started having some kind of like a little extra money, her mom would get a Diet Coke. And she would sit there with her mom and eat and have a Diet Coke. Like, I'm like, that is hugely emotional.
yeah,
Like, but you
yeah,
just think like, I just need a Diet Coke and I just need it and I just can't stop. But then you take a step back and you're like, oh, well, that was something I like to do with my mom. And that means something to me.
yeah.
Yeah. And now her and her mom don't drink Diet Coke. She got her mom off Diet Coke. But, there's so many reasons for food. That's why we need to, just take a look at it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we already talked a little bit, but your go-to strategies for identifying emotional triggers before the craving hits. What are some that maybe of your own or that you recommend?
Sure. So, yeah, for emotional triggers, it's funny, right? Because, like, these things just don't come out of nowhere, right? Like, there's usually a pattern and a trigger or like a feeling that starts before you're like, I want potato chips. Like I said earlier, let's use that example, right? Like, if I'm stressed, I'm like, I need to have like potato chips, but what happened like before that? Right. So, we're not like tracking calories, but we're tracking like, I call them craving windows. Right. So like we said, like a lot of women at night, they're like, I crave a lot of sweets at night. It's the only time they get for themselves, the only time it's quiet, or like right after lunch. Or so we want to like start like what are the like what's happening before that? Right. If it's a 3 o'clock slump, what did you eat? Or you're at work, you're in like a stressful meeting that happens every day. So we want to just kind of look at those to get some kind of clue because it's not really random. and see what is like, and again, without judgment. We're just looking and examining
Exactly.
and being curious. We don't need to be judging what's happening. And we do that a lot. And then I feel like then it compounds and then it's like double emotional because we're beating ourselves up about wanting to eat something that we think is bad for us instead of understanding why we want to eat it.
I do have a food timeline tracking tool that I put in the show notes, and you can do that a couple different ways. You could do it both ways even. And so some of it is like the physical side of it. How am I feeling, before, during, after, and long after my meal physically, stomach upset, headache, whatever. But then you can also use it for the emotional side of things too. Before I ate whatever it was, how was I feeling in that moment? During, maybe a couple bites in, you're still feeling great. But then like halfway in, you're like, oh, I shouldn't be eating this. But you keep eating it, and, even after, how'd you feel? How are you like feeling emotionally right after? And then even long after. How can someone start creating distance between an emotional trigger and a sugary response?
Awareness is the first thing without judgment. Okay. Like that could be your absolute superpower. And I know it's so hard, right? Because we judge everything. We judge ourselves. Like, I was raised by people that judge everybody. Right. So like relearning that. So when a craving hits again, like we're creating a little bit of space and just taking a few seconds to be like, there's something going on here. Like, ooh, what is this? And it kind of interrupts that autopilot where you're just reaching for the snacks. And then the next right again is be like, then you just with curiosity, what is happening? What do I really like? What's really happening right now? Again, am I anxious? I'm even like bored, right? I can eat so much when I'm bored. It doesn't even have to be like feeling overwhelmed. A lot of times it is, but there's like boredom in there too. So I think if you just be aware, don't judge, and just get curious, your body will be telling you what's happening. And then you can decide what you actually need. And you know what? Maybe sometimes it is actual hunger. And that's okay too, right? We're just actually really hungry. Versus us always just beating ourselves up because we should be doing this and should be doing that. So let that go.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever asked you, did you ever watch Ted Lasso?
Yes. Oh my God, I love him.
To be curious. Not sure.
Yeah. I know it's so funny. I was like,
I just
so
had to
true.
bring that up. Yeah. But it is true. I mean, when it comes to this and life and other stuff. Yeah. Because especially when you are logging stuff, like I mentioned, like with the food timeline and stuff, if you choose to do something like that, you can't feel guilty about it. Sure, it might help you, prevent you from having something. Because if you're like, oh my gosh, if I got to write that down, it might help you in that way. But either way, like I wouldn't want somebody to use it for that necessarily. Like I want you to just do whatever you normally do and write it down and not judge yourself for it because you are being curious about all of these triggers and that's how you're going to get there.
Yeah, or I do I'll just eat it so fast like it never happened. But I have to laugh at myself because I've done, everything that people are embarrassed to talk about. Like I've done that. So
Yep. I mean, I probably have too at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the same way, but yeah, for sure. We both have our journeys that have gotten us here, so that we can teach others, everything that we did wrong. How does mindful eating play a role in disrupting this cycle? You just touched on that a little bit, but if we want to get a little bit more in depth with that one.
Yeah, for sure. So I think making intentional choices. So like we said, you're not going to never eat chocolate cake again, right? But if you're like, let go of feeling around chocolate cake. If I'm at a party and my friend makes the best chocolate cake ever and I want to have the chocolate cake, I'm going to intentionally have that. And I'm going to give myself permission to enjoy it with all of my senses, right? How does it smell? How does it feel in my mouth? How does it taste? I'm not biting and swallowing like I just talked about. I'm not shoving it down and eating it super quick. I'm actually enjoying the food. So I'm not punishing myself. I'm not just inhaling it. And then, maybe you don't need the whole piece of chocolate cake if you're enjoying with permission, or maybe you find out something that you don't like. It's funny. We had a client. She was so funny. Once she started giving herself permission to start eating some things like pizza, guess what? She doesn't actually like pizza. She's like, I don't enjoy it. Like, and it's all the healthy version. Like, she's like, I've tried all the, it's just not my thing. I was like, how do you not like pizza? What is wrong with you? But she gave herself permission to really enjoy it. And that's when she was like, I don't enjoy it. But before, she was literally just shoveling pizza in and not noticing if she really enjoyed it or not. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I know like one thing you even told me I feel like a long time ago now, but putting your fork down in between bites,
yeah.
that just makes you way more aware of how much you're consuming, what you're consuming, if you're actually enjoying what you're consuming, for sure. Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
been a huge one. I know like I always tell myself, like it used to be kind of like, well, this isn't worth the calories, but
Yeah, right?
because I don't focus on counting calories at all. But yeah, if I take a bite of something and if it's something that I am treating myself to, it better be worth it. And if it's not, then I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to. But that's where you can get into that mindlessness of like, well, I
Yeah.
told myself I was going to have this chocolate cake. And even if it's not that good, I'm just going to finish this piece. But
Yeah.
like, no, actually, if you're going to treat yourself, then enjoy
Yeah.
it instead of mindlessly just
Yeah.
continuing because you think you should. Yeah.
And yeah, right. I deserve it. So I'm eating this whole piece of cake. But
Mm.
wouldn't it be nice to know if it was a shitty piece of chocolate cake 2 bites in? You know what I mean? Like they're a chocolate cake that you're like,
Yeah.
this is heaven on a plate. And like, but
Yeah.
versus like, that wasn't, Brad still says that it's not worth the calories. I'm like, oh, he's still in like fitness mindset, like bodybuilding mindset from years ago. But yeah, it's really funny because,
Yeah.
I want to know if it's worth it. And if it's not, and
Yeah.
I just walk away and there's no guilt because I'm not enjoying it. It's not because I can't
Exactly.
have it. It's because I don't enjoy it. And that's it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. What's one myth about sugar addiction or emotional eating that you'd love to bust? This is another favorite question of
Yeah, oh, yeah.
mine.
And I think you and I like are totally we're on the same page about so many things, but this is the one where I'm like, I want to bang my head against a wall. You don't need more willpower. I wish the word willpower did not exist. I mean, I think I lived most of my life with like willpower and you just drive through and you just push through. You don't need to try harder. You don't need to be disciplined. You don't need more self-control, right? Like that really, it really has nothing to do with how strong you are. Because we just talked about, like, this is like totally about brain chemistry and how your brain is wired in this moment, right now, not how it's going to be in a week, 2 weeks, or 5 years. Like, you can absolutely change it, right? Because this is about,
Anytime.
yep, it's about like I said, brain chemistry. It's about blood sugar instability, like we talked about. It's about habit loops. It's about emotional coping patterns. You're not weak. I can't even say it enough. Like, you are not weak. You just don't have the tools that you need or the support that you need now, but you can get it and you can absolutely change your life in not that much time.
Yeah. 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 Enough about that one for sure. Yeah. So you help clients shift from guilt and shame into
Not motivators, they're traps. So we need to learn how to start beating ourselves up. Okay. Like, that's a hard one. That really is the hard one. But I think if you just pause, and again, listen, I gotta quote Ted, like, just be curious, right? And we don't judge. And so the pausing has been really, really huge, especially if you start having that thought like, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. Pause, stop right then and there, and just take a few breaths and start asking yourself better questions. What do I need right now? Because as women, we take care of so many other people and we do for other people. We're taking care of everybody else's needs. Like, what do I need right now? What is
yeah.
it? And
Yeah.
maybe it really is, I just need to eat something, or I just need some protein, or maybe it's I just need to get a hug or call a friend or set a boundary. That's a big one. But once we do that and start like really stopping even for a few minutes and then taking care of ourselves, like, that to me is so empowering. That's where the magic happens.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to learn from it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to happen, especially if you're just starting in your journey, but you just have to learn from it and then come up with your plan for the next time that situation arises. And also, I mean, just celebrating all those small wins. So maybe you go a day
Mhm.
and you are still eating everything that you know is not going to make you feel the greatest, but maybe you do have a good day where you just pass up like something in the office that somebody brought in. Like, that's still a huge win. I feel like us as people, we focus on the negative so much. And so we just need to shift, right? To like, yeah, focusing on all those positive, just smallest little wins. And that's just going to compile and yeah, keep going from there to help you ultimately, get to where you want to be.
We
Takes
don't need to
time.
be perfect, like you said. Like, we don't
Exactly.
need to be perfect. Like, if you're making a change or one change, or it was better than yesterday, or you're doing something versus, nothing, just like, I forget it. I'm just eating a bag of chips and just go down the old rabbit
Exactly.
hole. Like,
Yeah.
then you're winning if you're taking small steps for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Where was there a breakthrough moment for you or maybe even a client where emotional eating turned into healing?
This is a good one. Yeah. So this makes me think of one of my clients. She's funny, right? Because she's like, I can't have. We all do this, right? There's certain things I just can't have in the house. I can't have like chocolate bars. I can't have whatever. So she was always talking about these like little mini chocolate bars, right? And so that she just could not have them. And so one day on a call, we're just talking, and I'm like, what if you like stop trying to control food, right? Like stop trying to control, like, I can't have this around and I can't be around this. And just listening again to what the craving is actually telling you. And she works from home a lot. And she was like, you know what? Like, I don't think I've had any social interaction today. I think I'm missing social interaction. And I work with a lot of high-powered women who are lonely because they travel a lot or they work from home and they're single or they're busy doing for everybody all day long. And so that was like really the shift for her. She's like, oh, I'm a social being forced to work from home. And that doesn't work for me. And again, because she's single, she could be like in her house and be like, she's like, there could be days I don't talk to anybody, but I can eat a bunch of chocolate. I can go to the store and like eat that, right? So now she can be like, what do I really need? What do I really need? And what's really going on?
Yeah. You said the I can't word too.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Even just changing that thinking, not I can't, but I'm just not doing that. I'm not doing that because I have X, Y, and Z goals, like that just changes that mindset instead of, again, just trying to willpower through something. But when you kind of spin it around and say, I'm not having that, even if you say, I'm not going to have that today instead of I can't, because then that's all your brain wants to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not having it
Yeah.
today. Like, let's just take it day by day.
Yeah.
Does it really
Exactly.
matter? It's funny because sometimes when people sit down and they're like starting a 90-day program, like, I need to know every step. And I'm like, no, because but people are like planners, and especially busy women. They're like, I need to plan. Like, I live by my planner. I'm like, okay, well, we'll take it week by
Yes. I know. I mean, you probably get this too, but one thing, like I tell my clients throughout is just embrace the process.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah. Day by day, meal by meal,
Yeah.
whatever it is, like embrace the process. And in the end, they always say, I really appreciated this process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But the unknown is scary. Like, we
It
get
is.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had to reframe a craving as a deeper unmet need? And how did that go? Or maybe if you think of a client example as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I brought up the one about the Diet Coke, but a lot of times it's like connection. I feel like most of my ladies are missing connection with other like human beings, really. And I feel like that, that can happen to me too a lot, because sometimes I will work, and I don't know, Lindsie, if this happens to you, like I'm home working a lot. And then if my son is with his dad and then it's like quiet at night, that I'm like, I barely had any like social interaction. And if there's food around, like I can like eat that when I'm like, I need connection. And now, of course, there are days where I just want quiet too. So I think
Yep.
it's really like, what do you need? Because I mean, I had like, God, one of those like a couple weeks ago where I'd been home. It was like the second day at home, like from working at home and not really talking to anybody. And I was at home that night, and I was like, I'm going to get in my car and go drive like, is this even takeout? And I was like, no, stop. What do you need? You have food at home. And then I just texted a friend, and we were just like making like silly jokes. And I was like, this is really what I needed. And so sometimes it's connection on a deeper level, though. Like sometimes, like I said, we have, we're busy, and then, it's months that you haven't seen a friend or connected with someone besides like your little family unit. Like, you got to connect with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely different for different people. You kind of bring up a good point there. No, I don't think I could be a hermit, but there are some days where, like I just love my quiet. I love my alone time. My husband travels for work, and so sometimes I get that. But then, like for me, instead of going to food, a lot of the times it's exercise. It's even just like fresh air.
Yeah.
I have definitely learned how to cope with that more. But yeah, I think you're right. The connection piece is what I feel like is a big part of emotional eating, and sometimes the sugar addiction that goes along with it.
And I love that you brought up exercise. That's one of those healthy coping mechanisms versus chocolate cake all the time.
Yes. Yes, much healthier. Yeah, I mean, and just breaking that cycle then by doing that, because you do that a few times, and then your mind's gonna be like, "Wow, well, I actually felt good by doing that." So, yeah. What's something that you wish more women understood about cravings and emotional hunger?
Okay, besides willpower? Besides willpower, that you can change the pattern. You can break the pattern. Like this is not what is set up for you for life, right? You're not doomed to be like, I can't control my cravings. I can't walk by the candy aisle. I'm going to be this weight for X amount of for the rest of my life, right? I'm sure you hear this too. But I can't lose weight because no, all of it is like it's not. Maybe some of it's easier, but it doesn't have to be a crazy hard process if we learn to tune in and figure out what works for us. I think that's another thing, right? Is that
Yeah.
please stop judging yourself against, any man that you're around because they're just on, totally different with their eating and the way their body like just burns fat like that. Yeah. And that you can absolutely change. You can totally take control, even if it's the tiniest step. You can totally do it.
Yeah. At any point, anytime, like any age. I mean, yeah. And I mean, you're a great example of that. You didn't just accept that all of this medical stuff was happening, to you.
Yeah.
You let it happen for you, and you then took control and you started discovering, what else was out there. And unfortunately, like, especially in the medical system, I feel like, but, when they hand you a diagnosis, it's also a lifelong condition is what they tell you, or, whatever else,
Yeah.
that means you're going to have this for the rest of your life. Like, and so, yeah, if you just accept that, then yeah, then
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what you're setting yourself up for, and you're going to feel stuck the rest of your life with that. But there is so much more that you can do to improve your symptoms, maybe even heal completely instead of just accepting, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think you said this on one of your podcasts, like, specialists only know a piece. Like, even my OBGYN, who I absolutely adored, like, who got me through all the surgery and all that, if she had known a little bit more. I also wasn't very, straightforward about the amount of sugar I was eating because I was in denial, but maybe if she had known a little bit more about that, maybe we could have talked diet stuff as prevention, right? Like, I was already needed surgery, but, like, on the
Yeah,
prevention side of it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you could tell your past self one thing about sugar and emotional eating, what would it be?
That emotional eating is just a signal slash like it's kind of like it's not really a problem, it's a symptom, right? Like if I had looked back and actually tuned in, I would have saw that I wasn't being weak because trying to not eat sugar wasn't working for me, right? Just trying. But I was overwhelmed and I was undernourished. As you had said before, I was using sugar to cope with stress, also burnout and exhaustion. Like I needed caffeine and sugar. And I used to say that my coffee was just like a transport mechanism for my sugar because I had so much sugar in there
Oh, yeah.
just to get through the day. And I wasn't really taught to listen to my body. But if I had just done that, right? So I would just be like, you just need to understand yourself. You just need to
Yeah.
listen to your body and understand what works for you. And then you can
Yeah.
break the cycle.
Yeah. Your body is talking to you. You just have to
Mhm.
listen for sure.
Yeah.
What's one simple daily habit or mindset shift that you would recommend to start healing?
Oh, good one. I would say treat your self-care. I know that word is used so much, but as like it's a non-negotiable, it's not a reward for like next week or the weekend. Again, women, we take care of everybody else, right? And so we need to take care of ourselves a little bit more, even if it's 5 minutes a day. Like you said, go for a walk or you sit with your morning coffee. Like that's what I love to do is sit with my morning coffee when it's quiet. That's why I'll get up before anybody else. So, it really is taking care of yourself and sending that signal to the brain. I am safe. I am taking care of myself because I matter and I'm taking care of my needs. And then it really does. And this one takes a little bit more time with self-care, but then you feel like less out of control, less overwhelmed when you take care of yourself. And so then you ultimately start relying less on sugar and food to manage your emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Daily
heard
habit.
something I heard something a while back. Self-care is selfless. Yeah, because it's that age old, put your own oxygen mask on before you put on anybody
Yeah.
else's, or you got to fill up your own cup before you can fill up anybody else's. It's so true. And like, I mean, yeah, I don't have kids, but as a nurse, I feel like I was always in that caregiver mode, and I kind of just naturally have
Yeah.
that, so I just want to
Yeah.
take care of everybody and everything and, hyperachiever stuff.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, like it took me, it took me my, wake up call a few years ago to be like,
Yeah.
I do need to take a minute, 5 minutes,
Yeah.
10 minutes, whatever it is. Sometimes it's longer, other
Yeah.
days, sometimes it's shorter, but just to do something, for myself. Sure.
Yeah, and anyone who's listening is like, "I don't have time for that." Okay, so why don't you do little self-care for 7 days in a row, and then don't do it and tell me which days feel better.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Just commit to a few days for sure. Yeah. So, last question, where can listeners learn more about your work and connect with you?
Yeah. Awesome. So you can just go to my website, which is empower-wellnesscoaching.com. I'm also on Instagram, sugar_coach. Don't know why I picked that. Maybe somebody had something like similar. But I also have created a school community for those that don't know school, SKOOL, which is just a great community. We wanted to just be, where we can all speak openly and create a community of women that really want to lift each other up. So if you go to school, look for us. It's the Mind and Body Reset Hub. So I would love to connect.
Is there anything else that you would like to share? Like something that I see in the background, maybe?
Oh, and my cookbook. I am terrible about this stuff. Thank you, Lindsie. On my website, you can get the digital version of it, or this lovely version is on Amazon. So, yeah, yummy recipes that are all gluten-free, low glycemic index, basically won't mess with your blood sugar. And there's, yes, still some sweets in there that you can enjoy.
Yes. And simple. I love the just simple, easy. It doesn't have to get complicated. So, yeah, love those recipes. Definitely
Yeah.
check those out.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, that was when I was creating these recipes or picking the ones that I love. I'm like, there are so many cookbooks I love from like famous, holistic doctors. And I'm like 25 ingredients later. I'm like, oh my God. Like I want it to be simple and that you would probably have most of
Yes.
the things at your house.
Exactly. Yeah, which I love about that. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining and sharing all that good stuff. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this replay episode of PCOS Unfiltered. If there's one message I hope stays with you after today's conversation, it's this: your cravings are communication, not a character flaw. Whether your body is asking for nourishment, connection, rest, stress relief, or simply more awareness, every craving is an opportunity to pause, get curious, and respond with compassion instead of guilt. Healing doesn't happen through more willpower or stricter rules. It happens by learning to understand your body, celebrating the small wins, and taking one intentional step at a time. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend who might need this reminder. And if you're enjoying the podcast, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the show. It helps more women discover these conversations and reminds them they're not alone on their healing journey. As always, remember that your body has incredible wisdom. The more you learn to listen, the more empowered you'll become to create lasting change. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you on the next episode of PCOS Unfiltered. Nourish, heal, thrive.